So you're like, oh boy, hey, kids, we're almost to Deadwood. And then it's like the SpongeBob 3.5 hours later. Hang on, kids, we're almost to Deadwood. And you've got nothing to look at.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you are tuning in from. This is the BS Buddies podcast. I am your host, Joe. That is your host, Ian. Ian, what exactly are we talking about?
Today, we, and by we, I mean Joe, has compiled a list of some places, and we are going to rate them based on whether we think they are overhyped, underhyped, or as expectations were simply met, not exceeded, or undermined. Some
They
of these
were
places
there.
we've been to, some of these places we've been to personally, some of them we have not, and we're just going to give what our impressions of it would be. So please don't be mad at us.
Nothing like making assumptions. Uh,
Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do.
so, by the time you're seeing this, I'll actually be in Florida. Uh, if the uploads are as we record them, I put them up. Should be the week that I'm in Florida. So once I get back, I could talk about Florida if you guys want me to and talk about everything I did. But for the first one on the list, we're not doing Florida yet. I that is to be determined. Uh,
What a weird non-segue that was.
not
Yeah, I'm gonna be in Florida next week, but we're not talking about that right
we're
now.
going to talk about other places that one or both of us have been to, which we're going to start off with Las Vegas. Ian,
Ah,
you have been there. I have
yes.
not. Of, I probably have like 15 people I know who have been there. Uh, yeah, strangely
Vegas
enough, my aunt and uncle got married there at a drive-through chapel. So
drive-through chapel.
yeah,
I can't imagine. Boy, I can't imagine. I wish I could have seen how that went down. You just pull up to the window. This is Father so and so speaking. What would you like to order? Yeah, we'll take one marriage ticket, please. That'll be $59.99. Please pull ahead to the first window. Just like they throw a rosary and a Bible at you and a little certificate as you drive by, and there you
um,
go. You're on your way.
I don't think uh, Catholics are doing the drive-through marriages, dude.
I mean, any of them, there's a lot of different versions of it they could be going through. You got the Lutheran, the Protestant. You could be having any number of them. Maybe they have like a little tab card that says, "Please pick which denomination you are, and we will adapt accordingly."
Yeah, nothing like Frankenstein giving a
Yeah,
Catholic
man.
wedding.
You never, and then they just throw it at you as you go by. But anyways, regardless of that, I would say that Vegas is one of those interesting places that both exceeds the hype and falls short of it. Where it exceeds is that it really is when you are driving down the main highway and you hit the strip and you see all the lights at nighttime and the whole city's lit up, it's beautiful. Phenomenal, right? Because you're out there and you're like, man, there's just nothing but rocks and sand for 100 miles in any direction. And then, boom, big old city is right there in your face. And the lights are beautiful to look at and all the decoration. However, in the daytime, when the sun comes up, you're like, man, place is really bright, really hot. Everything's expensive, and nothing looks as pretty as it did last night. And you're kind of like, meh, well, this is not as fun as I wanted it to be. It's about 98 degrees outside with the wind chill,
Yeah,
80% humidity. I'm freaking sweating, and then like, it's 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 a
yeah,
unique experience that is both blows you away and at the same time leaves you feeling that was it. I don't know how else to describe it other than that.
yeah. When I think of Vegas, I think of adding the wind chill to it as
Yeah,
well.
you gotta factor in for the wind chill. 115 with the wind chill, it's 123. You'll be fine. Just
Did
use
you
the
just go up
SPF
with the
one.
wind chill?
Yeah, that's how it works out there.
Okay,
It's
just making sure. That's
yeah.
not how it works here, as you know. For Vegas, for me, would I want to go there? Not really. After hearing so many people say, like Ian said, it was hot, it was cool for a night, and then I got over it. I would love to see the sphere. Is that what it's called? The big thing.
Yeah, the big sphere that they built out there,
I would
whatever that
love
thing
to see
was.
SpongeBob in person there, like they had for the Super Bowl, and like just to go there and like watch a movie in it or something, whatever they do there, or concert, and then I'd be good. Like I could go to Vegas, go for a day, say I've been to Vegas, and then go up to Colorado.
Yeah, Vegas is one of those go there for like a weekend trip or vacation getaway, whatever you want. And then once you're done, you've seen everything Vegas has to offer. You've seen it once, you've seen it 100 times.
I would,
Yeah.
I would. There are a couple other places I would like to go. The one which I think would just take up a whole day is like Pawn Stars shop. But I don't know if I want to wait 12 hours in the heat just to be like, oh, sorry, we're closed. So for me, I would say it probably meets expectations. Like you're going there probably to gamble, uh, just to go party, and I think that's all it offers. So
If you're going
during
there with the expectation to party, you will not be let down. If you go there wanting a wonderful time to leave fulfilled and happy with yourself about your experience there, don't. That,
perfect.
that's my advice.
The next one on our list, which we both been to, so we'll have a little more insight. Mount Rushmore.
Yes, this is one that I just jumping right into it. I feel that Mount Rushmore is actually underhyped. I know some people are like, oh, well, it's just a bunch of heads carved into the side of a mountain, blah blah blah. But like when you're actually there and you're at the base of it, looking up at it, you're like, oh my god, that is a long ways off up there. And then even more when you think about the fact that they did it in like the first quarter, or should say first half of the 20th century, is even more just astounding of like, so you mean to tell me a bunch of dudes who had to send like snail mail and telegraph to each other, figured out how to climb up a mountain and just carve out all these faces of our presidents. That's pretty freaking cool. And I thought the little informationals they had about everything, how they did it, I always thought that was pretty neat and nifty too.
So, from my side, I've been there 3 times total. The first time I went there when I was fairly young, and like you said, the informationals is something I really remember from it. Because as a kid, you could go through and like you could lift up like the dynamite and like put it down, and it plays a clip of them actually when they did it. So it felt like you were helping them make
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore, which is awesome. They also have like pathway where it like goes behind it as well. Um, this it's a little foggy for me, but I remember that was really cool, and I believe you can go inside Lincoln's head, which
Mm.
I'd have to double check. I've heard that multiple times, but um, if that is a thing, I would love to do that. And otherwise, it is very cool. The last 2 times that I went there, it was very underwhelming. Not because of the monument at all, but I had, for sure, the last time I had my elderly grandmother, and if you're if you're a little older, like just be aware it is a long walk up to
There's a
it.
lot of
Like
there's a lot of walking.
when I went with my grandma, we had to stop like 4 times on the way there. Once we got there, she was so winded that like I would have felt bad if we stayed, and I think my dad as well. I was probably like 16, 17 at the time. So, and it was kind of like, well, we've already seen it, and I'd much rather take care of my grandma who's obviously been struggling. I think someone noticed on the when we were coming back and like got her a wheelchair, which was very, very nice. Uh, but I would like to go back there again now that I'm older. Like I'd love to take my fiance and our little one because I think they would find it super cool, and I can um, go through it again especially seeing excitement of a little one as well. I think that would be fun. So I do think it's it's a little underhyped. I it's been like a I'm 26 now. I went almost 10 years ago now, so I'd like to go back and just re-experience it. But I
It's
know I had a lot of
definitely
fun when I was young.
it's definitely I think honestly the whole Black Hills area
Black
of
Hills
South
are awesome.
and the Badlands in general is a wonderful area to go see. Partially, you have Mount Rushmore, which is I guess would be fun if you're a history buff, history nerd like myself. But I mean, even the Badlands in general, you have like Deadwood, South Dakota, where the
It's
famous outlaw
Vegas,
Wild.
but in the Wild
Yeah,
West.
well, you got Deadwood, where Wild Bill Hickok was killed, and that's where you get the term "dead man's hand" in poker, aces and eights. They had a Marshall Tucker concert there for free in the town square when I went 2 years ago, I think it was now. So that was pretty cool, and just that whole area of the country is beautiful to see because I mean, if you're at the right location, you can see the hills which just rise up out of the ground fall away into the plains, and then you can see literally the Great Plains of North America stretch out before you. So I think it's a very beautiful scenery-wise part of the country that people should go see. Don't get me wrong, cities are cool, but like you got to see what's out in the country, man. Way cooler, way cooler. Like if
Uh,
you ever go back out there, Joe, I recommend you find a place that does side by side or ATV rentals and see if you can ride some of the trails around the area because
I've
that's where you
never
really.
driven a side by side, so I feel like that'd go terrible. Uh,
Oh, no, it's just like driving a car, but it's a little bit bumpier and you're out in the open air.
so we're both originally from Minnesota for context for this. Driving to Deadwood and like that area, oh my goodness. Like it's not terrible. Like it could be North Dakota. um, but it's like as soon as you get into South Dakota, especially past Sioux Falls, like it's like Deadwood just ahead. Deadwood just ahead. And if you don't know any better, you're like, oh, sweet, we're almost there. No, you still got like 3 to 4 hours more to drive. They just have so many billboards on the way there. Like every 10 miles is like another Deadwood
because
billboard.
because they have a whole lot of nothing in between the east and west sides of the state. So the second you leave the big main city, the next big attraction is Deadwood. What they don't tell you is that it's 495 miles ahead. So you're like, oh boy, hey, kids, we're almost to Deadwood. And then it's like the SpongeBob 3.5 hours later. Hang on, kids, we're almost to Deadwood. And you've got nothing to look at the entire time except
The
flat.
last hour or so. Then you start getting into the Badlands. Also, another thing with the Rapid City area and Deadwood, reptile gardens. Those are also super cool. I believe that's in that area as well. Uh, but we're going to move on because we spent a lot of time on South Dakota and I wasn't expecting that. We're going to go back to Minnesota, the great state of Minnesota with Mall of America.
Ugh.
Ian
Oh,
has stronger opinions about Mall of America.
so now granted, I don't think the Mall of America is by any means a bad place to go see. It's definitely cool to say the least. I mean, they got roller coasters on the inside of the mall. It's pretty sweet. However, I just want everyone to keep in mind that Mall of America is a tourist destination. And that being said, they have a lot of tourist gimmicks. So after you've seen the first floor of the mall, you've seen them all. And the only thing for me that made going to the Mall of America worth it was they used to have a flight simulator on the third floor where you could go in and like actually sit down in like the cockpit seat and they had the whole Omni Dome thing over you and you could pretend to fly a jet. That was really cool, and then they got rid of it, and now there's really no reason to go because yeah, they have
For
go-karts
you.
on the top floor, but the go-karts are never open, and the lines for the amusement park in the center of the mall are always stupid long, and the food's way too expensive, and I burned the roof of my mouth when I tried the hottest hot sauce in the world there. So really, I don't see any more reason to go back to Mall of America. I've had my fill. I'm
Um,
okay.
I've been there a few times. The first time was fun. We went senior year in high school and played mini golf there. Uh, it Things are a lot more expensive, like Ian said. Like typically in Minnesota, things aren't super expensive. Like going from Minnesota to like on band trips, like to DC, where the bottle of water is 4 times the price, is ridiculous. There, there is a lot of cool shops in Mall of America, though. Um, Debbie and I went there a couple months ago. We stopped in to get my mom a Christmas gift. So we went to the M&M store, which was new since we went there, and that thing is huge. Like it's up 2 floors just
Holy
itself.
moly.
Um, they have a huge Barnes and Noble, which I thought was awesome. We didn't have time to stop there. But they have a Shady Rays shop, which I don't know if you know Shady Rays. I heard about them. Great sunglasses for a reasonable price, and they replace your glasses whether you break them or you lost them for free, and they don't ask questions; they just do it.
Well, that's
Um,
pretty handy,
so
actually.
Shady Rays, please sponsor us. I love your sunglasses.
On the flip side of that, the Bubba Gump restaurant. You remember that when you mentioned other places, I thought of the Bubba Gump restaurant, the Mall of America.
And
You
Legoland
remember
is
that?
awesome too. But yes, I
Okay,
know.
the Legoland is cool. The Legoland is cool. The Bubba Gump restaurant, not so much. Bubba
I
Gump
didn't go there.
restaurant, if you're listening to this, $44 for a crab and some fries is absolutely ridiculous. I've always wanted to eat there every time that I've been to the Mall of America, and then every single time I look at the menu and it's like a hamburger with French fries is 27.99, and I'm like, I think I'd rather stick my foot in my mouth because that is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not paying $30 for a hamburger and fries. I'm pretty sure a drink is extra. So yeah, no way, no way, Jose. Other than that, it's not bad.
Yeah, I enjoy just to walk around. The only my new problem is like, um, do I bring uh my 6-year-old along? Because there's so many people, there's so many shops. Uh, so whenever I want, like, I don't have a want to go constantly, especially because it's still a bit of a drive for me. But it's like, ooh, we're right next to Mall of America, but we have the kiddo. There's a ton of people. Like I don't know. It just kind of freaks me out a bit.
Get
Just
her one of those leash backpacks so you can keep moving her along store to store. It's like, come on, we gotta go see the next one. Let's go. Or get a retractable one, so you can let it out and it snaps back real quick. It's
yeah, that's a terrible idea. We're gonna move on to California. There's a few sites in California, so we're just gonna group it all into one. Ian has been to California and has spent quite a bit of time there. I have
spent
not been there yet. I've been close, but not there.
spent about 3 years of my life out in California, and no, don't go. I'm sorry. If any of my buddies who might be watching this out there who are from California, I love y'all. I give y'all all the love in the world, but it's California sucks. I just hate to say it. It's a wonderful place to visit. Do not ever go live there. Los Angeles is very overhyped. First of all, the traffic is garbage. It doesn't even have to matter what time of day it is. The traffic just sucks all the time. I've seen the I-5 out in California, which is the big coastal highway that runs north to south, is an 8-lane highway. 8 lanes, four each side, and I've seen standstill traffic where I wasn't able to move more than a mile in an hour. Like it's just absolutely nuts. Everything is expensive through the roof, and LA in particular, like the Hollywood Star Walk of Fame and all that is like roughly a block, 2 blocks long, and it's not even that particular good looking in real life. Like all the stars, got footprints on them and years of people hawking loogies as they walk by. So it's all gross and like once you see it, you're like, that's it. And you're like, well, let's this is LA. Let's go have the club experience. And the club experience in LA is walking through the door, getting carted 15 times by 8 different bouncers, going up to the bar and going, yeah, can I just get like a Coors Light? Sure. That'll be $12. Are you kidding me for one beer? Like, no. No, it's not at all close. And it's overcrowded, and then the everyone's trying to act like some kind of celebrity, and then instead you just kind of end up shuffling side to side in some corner with all your friends. Like, man, this really sucks. You want to go find some dive bar in some little boony town somewhere? Yeah, let's get out of here. And you're gone. So, yeah, no, California, way overhyped. The natural beauty of the state, phenomenal. The cities, don't go for the cities. Don't go for the cities. Don't go for any of the cities.
California, I would love to visit, but especially after hearing that, I don't know if I want to stay there extended.
Visit up north. If you're gonna visit California,
Northern
visit up
California,
north.
I've heard is great.
When I was driving home, I went through Redding, I think it is, California, and that is beautiful country. It's nestled right in this nice little valley between two peaks of the big rolling hills, the mountains, and I wanted to see the giant sequoia trees, but I never did quite get out there to the coastline. But the natural beauty of the northern half of the state, unparalleled. It's wonderful. Glad I saw it. The southern half is mostly desert and rocks. So I mean, eh.
Yeah,
But the
I'd love to
northern
go.
half,
I'd love to go see those sequoias. That's the main reason why I would want to go. While we're over in that area, I want to mention Colorado and Arizona. I've been both. Um, I'll mention Arizona first. I didn't. I haven't spent as much time there. The one of the times I went there, I went in mid July, and I didn't leave my sister's house. 115 degrees. No, thank you.
oh,
And
oh,
also, they had a pool in the backyard, which I think that was the second time I went. Uh, I saw the pool temperature was like 85 degrees the first time I went there, and I'm like, oh, that sounds disgusting. Like, that sounds like a hot tub. And I went in, and it was the most refreshing thing ever. But when went in the pool, when it was 115 degrees out, it was freezing. Still
I
85
suppose
degrees, just freezing.
I suppose when it's 115, you got a 30-degree drop into 85-degree water. Your body's like, what in the world is going on here? We were prepared to get boiled like a lobster, not frozen out in the cold, frigid temperatures of this 85-degree pool.
Uh, Other than that, I've gone to Sedona. I've only spent a couple hours there, which is basically Utah, but in Arizona. A lot of red, rocky area, and it looks beautiful. We drove through it a little bit. The main thing from there, which Ian, you need to go here. Um, Grand Canyon, 100%. You need to go there at
Oh
all
yeah.
costs. We went there, and like we went down one of the paths, and then like I we were like in the middle of it, and I didn't know where it was, like because of the hills. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't super hilly. I didn't even notice, but like started going up and up. Then all of a sudden there's just a giant crater in the earth, and I'm like, holy! Like it's one of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen. The one thing you got to be careful though, not every spot over there has a guardrail. So there's some you can climb like down the rocks a bit. I went quite a ways down and uh, did something kind of stupid. Um, Not
I would
stupid
definitely
enough, but like I sat down on the edge of one of the rocks and like looked out, and it was super pretty.
Oh, I'd love to go see the Grand Canyon. That is one of my places that I do definitely want to see.
And then going up to Colorado, I've been there multiple times. I spent a week there, went hiking. Like I've mentioned a couple times on this podcast, I went to the Stanley Hotel, which is the haunted hotel. If you know the hotel from The Shining. That's what it's based off of. Said this is the third time saying it. Um, but just Estes Park in general is beautiful. Like you go through like an hour or so of the mountains. We were in Loveland. You go through just these big hills, and then all of a sudden it just kind of flattens out. You see mountains everywhere around you. Like you see the hotel right away, and then it's just like kind of shops. Carter Lake. It's just a beautiful lake up in the mountains. Uh, got to go there. And another one that's beautiful is Boulder, Colorado. And oh
Ooh,
my, there's a school there, and then there's just a freaking mountain right behind it, which I thought was awesome. Uh, it was a big shop heavy area, but there was like a long walkway through the middle of it, and there's street performers everywhere, and they were all awesome. Uh, I
nice.
love Colorado with all my heart after going there, and I got one story I thought of at where my sisters lived there when they were there. We went for a Fourth of July weekend, and like there were mountains like in the distance, and how we were set up, we saw like 13 things of fireworks just along like right on top of the mountains basically. So it's like we saw 13 fireworks shows like all at once, and
Nice.
I can't stop gushing over Colorado. If I move anywhere in my life, I would love to move there, but it's super expensive there, so I'm hoping it goes down a little bit. But highly
Hoover
recommend
Dam.
Colorado.
Hoover Dam would also be one of those places that I would want to go see, just because of how massive it is.
Yeah, I guess like I've only seen it in pictures, so I don't like my head can't comprehend like how deep it is. But uh, we will swing over to the East Coast, and this one's going to be a quick one. Times Square. Like both of us have not been there,
I
but
would
just what
say,
our thought.
from first impressions, Times Square seems like one of those places that is massively overhyped. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's impressive to stand in the middle of it and look up at all the screens and everything like that. But if I were to see Times Square, I would want to see it back in its heyday, in, like, the
And it's
40s,
prime.
50s, 60s, when it was like the actual, like, bustling culture hub of New York and, to a larger extent, the United States. Because nowadays I feel like it's just a hodgepodge. Every little company who can cram some sort of advertisement somewhere in
Yeah.
Times Square has got one there, and you've got 100 different screens flashing a million different images at you. It's full of people, full of cars. You can't hear anything, you can't hardly see anything. So impressions today is that by today's standard, it's probably overhyped. But getting to see it back in its prime when it was like truly beautiful to witness, I bet it'd be cool. I bet it'd be something.
For me, it'd be like, oh, this is the American dream. Now let's go home.
Now
I'm
I'm gonna go get a hot dog, or I'm gonna go to, oh God, what do
gonna
they
go
call
to
them
the
out
cookie
there?
dough place,
Let me go to the bodega. Is that what they call them out there?
or
Bodegas, or
I think Nathan's hot dogs. I think that's in New York. I don't know.
yeah,
We've
get a
never been there.
get a Coney Island dog. That'll make somebody mad somewhere, because I don't know what any of the differences between, like, Coney Island and Long Island and Manhattan. I don't have a clue what all the differences between those are. So somebody out there got mad at that comment, and if you
Yeah.
did, sucks to be you.
I also agree with Ian. Just overhyped. Like all I hear is that it's super busy, super loud. The rats are gigantic, and they're everywhere. For the ball drop, that sounds like it's a nightmare in itself. So it'd be fun to go there for just a day, or and by a day I mean like a half hour, look around, and then go do something else.
Yep, it's like half hour. All right, I've seen it. Get a few nice pictures, and I'm done. Don't want to see no more of it.
I think we only got a few left. Well, I really got one left, unless you have one. Chicago, Ch-
Chicago.
Chi
I
Town,
like
Chicago.
Chi-Town. I'm not sure because I can't say of anything that like I've particularly heard of that would make me like super interested in going, but I also can't say for certain that there was anything that would preclude me from going. You know what I mean?
Uh, I'll try and sway you, uh, slightly. For for me, I went on a band trip in high school. We went to Navy Pier right away, which I mean it was cool, but I didn't really know what to do. It was like, oh, we're going to Navy Pier, and I'm like, oh, okay. So like I stood out on the dock and just saw Lake Superior, I think is the lake there. So it just endless lake, and then got to see the skyline of Chicago, which was cool. We went to an art museum. We went to see Blue Man Group, which was cool. We got to see the Big Bean, which I mean, it's just a big reflective bean. That's cool.
Bean.
Um, we we took two buses, and the bus behind mine got in an accident because someone ran into it. So that was fun. Got to drive past Wrigley Field, which was awesome. We went to, I don't remember what it was called, but there is a restaurant in Chicago where it was one of those ones where they're constantly mean to you.
Oh, yeah, they're
Um,
always insulting you.
for me, I was just trying to stay out of the way. I didn't want, like, I just tried to lay low as much as possible. Luckily, they didn't pick on me too much. Some of my classmates got ripped into, like just insulted to all hell. I think someone asked for a straw when we were there, and the worker just reached into its apron and threw like 20 at them right in
Yeah,
their face.
here, don't ask
Uh,
me for straws. You think you get to ask what you get around here? No, we tell you. You didn't get a straw? You better figure it out.
there was one museum. I can't remember what it was called, but one of the people I went with, they're like, hey, they have a German U-boat here. And I'm like, which, if you don't know, in World War II, that was the German submarines. And there was only one captured successfully by US, and it was in Chicago. And like, I need to go find that.
That
And
nice.
I found it. And it was awesome. The propellers on the back were as tall as me, and I'm 6'4". And I made sure that I touched the boat. And you can actually take tours in it, but we didn't have time, unfortunately.
That's I would I'd be that guy who's like walking through the tour group. Oh yes, this is very nice. This is wonderful. And then like we get to the command room, and I'd grab the periscope. Americana, and just start yelling at them and watch them all. What is it? Just watch them panic and freak out.
um,
Lorden torpedo, fire! Oh, that's I need that. I need that in my life just to make me feel complete.
hey, I live pretty close to Chicago now, so we could take a day trip. But another cool thing we did was the gangster tour, which was like a trolley tour through Chicago, and uh, we drove by different places like where Al Capone, like all of
Ooh, that'd
that,
be
and
cool.
um, like there's one building I that still has bullet holes from the 30s, which I thought was cool. And they talked about the Chicago fire, and like they they pointed out like that some of the houses that were there, like they just kind of built on top of the city. So like some of the houses that survived are like buried in the ground, and the rest is just there's houses that are
Oh,
on the main, and then yeah, I thought that was really cool. Chicago's cool, but I also think that it's one of the most dangerous places to go to. So
yeah.
there there's one other place. I don't know if you've seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Um,
Yes, I have.
the Willis Tower. It used to be the Sears Tower. It's now the Willis Tower. We went there in the Skybox, which, if you don't know what that is, Willis Tower in Chicago, they have a part on the very top where it's glass all the way around, and they can extend it out so you can go in the skybox and look straight down to the ground.
Uh,
I'm terrified of heights, but I got over it enough for that. And I actually laid down in the box and took a selfie pointing down. And
oh no.
as you're in the elevator, they have a screen and it's like, oh, you're on this floor, which is the same height as the Statue of Liberty, which is the same height as the pyramids of Giza. And you're just going up and it's like, okay, you're at the top and you're just like, oh my goodness, this is
I don't have a fear of heights, but being up that high gives me the heebie-jeebies, man. I don't know what it is, but it just gives a little tingle down the spine. And I'm like,
do you want me to make it worse?
no.
I'm gonna make it worse. When you're at the top, you feel the swaying from the wind as well a little bit.
Oh yeah, I believe that 100%. You're feeling the whole tower going, and you're
Like
just like,
it's not a lot, but it's enough to notice. Like, hey, this thing is swaying.
if I were to go up on there, I want my complimentary parachute for the way up, because if this thing goes over, you're not catching me screaming the whole way down. I want to be able to pull a cord and parasail away from that bad boy as she's falling.
Do you have any other places that you can think of?
Not off the top of my head, and honestly, even if I did think of some, we could probably make like a whole series out of places that we think are overhyped or underhyped, because there's a lot of places to visit, not only in the States, but around the world even, that we haven't even begun to touch on.
Yeah.
So,
Uh, yeah, that's kind of the ones that we could think of right off the top of our heads,
just
and
the
with the
big
help with
ones,
Google.
the
Uh,
big ones off the top of the head. We give you guys a little taste
and
of, and like some of the places we've been, we've got more places we've been to that we can share. Maybe in a future episode, maybe we could turn this into a series.
yeah, if you guys want us to deep dive into different landmarks, whether it be in the U.S. or um, in the world, like I know there's one video where it shows like the highest man-made structures. There's one giant uh, statue in like India that I'd love to go see, which I might have to show you a video of. But now it's time for quotes.
Alrighty. I don't have one ready to go.
I don't either, and I was hoping that there would be a quick one on the Grand Canyon, but they're all giant.
Oh, here we
Um,
go. I've got a good one for you. I'll go first. In light of talking about elevators, everyone should be able to do one card trick, tell two jokes, and recite three poems in case they're ever trapped in an elevator. That's from Lemony Snicket.
oh, I like Lemony Snicket. Um, I didn't find a good one on the Grand Canyon just because they're just talking about like, oh, this is what it looks like. Um, I didn't fully read this quote, so I'm gonna read it out loud and hope it's good.
Hmm.
If you set your goals ridiculously high and it's a failure, you will fail above everyone else's success. James Cameron. I actually like that quote a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of follows the philosophy of aim small, miss small.
Yeah.
I'm not going to expand or elaborate on that. You get to figure out what that means for yourself.
But thank you guys for BSing with us today. Comment down below if you'd like us to do more videos like this, or if you have other ones. Hit subscribe or follow down below if you are new. If you made it this far, thank you. Become a bud today. We will see you next time when when I get back from vacation.
When Joe can tell us whether or not Florida's over or under hype.
Yes.
But in the meantime, you all just take her easy now.